If something happens to me, check my diary. That's what Sofia Delgado, a 23-year-old university student, wrote just 2 days before she disappeared. And when her diary was finally found, it didn't just offer clues. It foretold everything: a quiet life in Granada. Sofia was a literature student at the University of Granada. She lived alone, wrote often, and was known to be introspective. Friends described her as kind, but guarded, someone who carried the weight of things she didn't always say out loud. She kept a daily journal, not for school, just for herself. A habit, a secret companion, until it became a roadmap to her final days. The diary entries that changed everything. Sofia Delgado's diary was not a work of fiction. It was a slow, terrifying descent into fear, written in real time by someone who seemed to know she might not survive. What began as casual reflections slowly transformed into something much darker. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, the tone of her entries shifted from poetic musings to fragmented warnings. March 5th. I saw him again today. Same coat, same hat. He was across the street when I left class. Just standing there, watching. He didn't move. March 7th. I walked home a different way, but somehow he was still there. I'm starting to wonder if I'm imagining it. But why does it feel so real? March 9th. Last night, I heard footsteps outside my window, but I live on the 3rd floor. She documented everything: shadows where there should be none, phone calls that ended in silence, the feeling of being followed, even indoors. Some entries were short, rushed, like they were written in fear. March 11th. He knows where I live. March 13th, I tried to tell Marta, her roommate, but I stopped. I don't want to sound crazy. I just want this to stop. The most haunting part of all was how measured she remained. There were no emotional outbursts, no panic, only quiet resignation. She wasn't writing for catharsis, she was documenting, preserving. And then came the last entry, written in shaky, uneven handwriting. March 15th. If anything happens to me, this is not an accident. Please read this, all of it. After that, the pages were blank. The diary was discovered 10 days later by investigators, tucked away beneath a loose floorboard under Sofia's bed. According to her roommate, Sofia had never mentioned hiding it. That discovery changed everything. What was first treated as a routine missing persons case now had the markings of premeditation and fear. Real fear. Criminologists later referred to the diary as a breadcrumb trail to a predator, not just because of what Sofia wrote, but because she seemed to know that no one would believe her until it was too late. Each line in that notebook was both a plea and a prophecy. It wasn't just her story, it was her voice, preserved in ink, daring the world to listen before another woman goes unheard. The day she disappeared. March 16th began like any other Thursday in Granada. Sofia Delgado woke up early, according to her roommate, Marta. She made tea, fed the cat, and sat by the kitchen window journaling, something she often did in silence. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But later, Marta would remember that Sofia seemed distant. Her eyes lingered out the window longer than usual. She didn't smile. She was calm, too calm. Around 11:20 a.m., Sofia left the apartment to head to her literature and gender studies class. She wore jeans, a navy hoodie, and carried a black canvas backpack. The last thing she said to Marta was, "I'll see you tonight. Let's make pasta." But she never came back. Security footage later revealed that she arrived at campus entered the Humanities building, and spent some time in the library. A classmate saw her around 12:15 p.m., flipping through a copy of Sylvia Plath's journals. She looked focused, but heavy, like she wasn't really there, he said. At 12:53 p.m., Sophia exited the library. That was the last confirmed sighting. After that, the trail went cold. She didn't show up to her 2:00 p.m. seminar. She didn't respond to any WhatsApp messages. Her phone last pinged a tower near the Albaytzin district, an older part of Granada known for its narrow, winding streets. Then it went dark. By 8:00 p.m., Marta started to worry. She called. No answer. She messaged. Nothing. By 10:30 p.m., Sophia's parents, who lived 3 hours away, were on the phone with police, insisting that this was out of character. She never disappeared. She was always in contact, her mother said. At midnight, police officers arrived at the apartment. They searched her room. Everything was still there. Her laptop on the desk, a cup of cold tea, her wallet. Only 2 things were missing: her phone and her black diary. That diary would be found later, hidden beneath a floorboard. But Sophia wouldn't be. Not that night. Not the next. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the university. Flyers went up. Vigils were held. Police formed a task force. But no one saw her leave the campus grounds. No one reported screams, a struggle, or a car speeding away. It was as if she had simply evaporated into the thin March air. And yet, as investigators would soon discover, Sophia had already warned them. The signs were written down. They just hadn't read them in time. The discovery of her body. March 26th, 10 days after Sofia Delgado disappeared. It was a Sunday morning when 2 hikers, Ana Morales and her teenage son, decided to take a detour through the Cerro del Sol, a hilly, forested area just outside the Alhambra, not far from the edge of the city. It was quiet, mostly deserted, and overlooked by tall pines and olive trees. At approximately 11:47 a.m., Anna's son spotted something unusual off the trail. A shape lying just beyond a patch of tall grass. At first, they thought it was a sleeping vagrant. Then they saw the shoes and the rose. Police were called immediately. By 1:00 p.m., the area had been cordoned off. What they found was both peaceful and horrifying. Sophia lay on her back, arms at her sides, eyes closed as if asleep. Her clothing was intact. There were no visible wounds, no signs of sexual assault, no struggle. But what caught investigators off guard was the single red rose placed gently on her chest. Fresh, undisturbed, deliberate. This was not a random dump site. It felt almost ceremonial. An autopsy would later confirm the cause of death: manual strangulation. Time of death was estimated within 24 hours of her disappearance, meaning she had been killed the very night she vanished. Toxicology came back clean. No drugs, no alcohol, no sedatives. And yet, the most puzzling element? There were no defensive wounds, no skin under her nails, no bruising, except faint marks on her neck. The forensic team determined one thing: Sophia likely knew her killer, or she was caught completely off guard. Even more chilling, she had been there the entire time, less than 6 kilometers from her home. While her friends posted missing flyers and her family begged for help on television, she lay in the woods, silent, unseen, surrounded by the city she loved. Investigators scoured the area for evidence: tire tracks, footprints, fibers. Nothing. Whoever left her there was careful, calculated, possibly experienced. But they did leave something. A message Not written, but implied by that rose. Some believed it was a symbol of remorse. Others thought it was a mockery, a signature, a final flourish from someone who had been watching and waiting. The media erupted. The Rose Killer? Headlines speculated. But there were no other victims, no pattern, just Sophia. And all anyone had to explain it was what she had written in her diary. The investigation begins. Police began tracing Sophia's movements. Surveillance footage showed her being followed on multiple days by the same man in a dark coat and baseball cap. He was never identified. The diary became central evidence, but fingerprints were smudged, no clear leads, no DNA match. An ex-boyfriend was questioned, but he had an alibi. A professor she had argued with? No evidence of involvement. The case turned cold. Internet theories and public reaction. As the media picked up the story, online forums lit up. Was it a stalker who had been targeting her for months? Was it someone she knew hiding behind a mask of normalcy? Was the diary a cry for help or a coded warning? Hashtags like #JusticeForSophia and #HerDiary spoke trended for weeks. Family, grief, and silence. Her parents started a foundation to raise awareness about stalking and digital safety. Her roommate moved out of Granada. The apartment stayed empty for over a year. The diary was published posthumously, with consent from her family, as a tribute to Sophia's voice. The case. Today. As of today, the case remains officially unsolved. No one has been arrested. The rose found beside her body, still a mystery. But her words, raw, terrified, real, continue to echo through every line of the diary she left behind. Ending, her voice still speaks. Sophia's story is more than a mystery. It's a reminder. Sometimes, the victim leaves the truth behind. We just have to read it. Thank you for watching until the end. If you know anything about this case, please leave a comment below. And if you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond Facts TV for more haunting true crime stories like this.